Hey, LaShonda. How are you? Hey, Miss Dorian. Hey, Javon. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hey, Ashley. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hope you all had a fantastic weekend. Looking forward to seeing you join me in a few moments, in about 30 minutes, for our Marriage Monday mantras. Remember that the link to the Zoom uh, meeting is in Wife Nation. So go over there and click that meeting link in 30 minutes, and we'll do our Monday marriage mantras for 10 minutes so we can speak life over our husbands, our future husbands, and ourselves. So we are going to get started. My name is Dee Johnson. I'm a licensed psychotherapist in 2 states. I am the creator and founder of Wife Nation. If you are not a part of the nation, if you're not engaged in the nation, then you need to come on over and get your whole married life together. We are servicing wives and future wives because we want successful marriages. We want successful relationships. We want them Christ-centered. We want them to last. I am a wife of almost 16 years and a relationship coach of 15 years. So welcome, welcome, welcome. You can find me here Monday through Wednesdays at 6 a.m. Central Time, giving you a word to help you with your marriage and relationship. So without further ado, let us get started. Today, we're talking about the 5 C's for a successful relationship. The 5 C's for a successful marriage. Number one. I want you to understand, in order to have a successful marriage, in order to have a successful relationship, you have to have a level of compromise that is required when you join your life with someone else. A lot of us have this perception that because we're the women of the house, because we're the women of the relationship, that everything needs to be on our terms and everything needs to go our way, or there's a problem. We don't understand the word no, and I said we. We don't understand the word no, and we will go all out into great lengths to have things on our terms. But you have to learn to compromise. That is the first C, compromise. If you have to have everything on your terms, and if you have to have everything your way, then marriage is just not for you. It's better just to stay single. Don't subject your significant other to your hissy fits and your temper tantrums because you can't get things the way you want them gotten. Because people say the word no, because people don't want to do it your way, because people don't see it from your perspective. What did I say a few weeks ago? If you were both just alike, one of you would be unnecessary. You don't need a carbon copy of yourself in the relationship. You don't need someone who's going to think exactly the way that you think and see it the same way you see it and treat it the same way you treat it. You need to have some balance. You need to have some balance. You don't need a carbon copy of yourself in a relationship. So allow your significant other to have their own opinion. Allow your significant other to have their own perspective. 4 plus 4 equals 8, but so does 3 plus 5. So does 1 plus 7. It doesn't really matter how you arrive at 8. It doesn't really matter which numbers you put together to get to 8. The goal is just to get to 8. And in a relationship, you just need to figure out how to get to 8, which is your happily ever after. And he may have a different perspective on how y'all need to get there. And that's okay. He's allowed to have that perspective. And he may have a different point of view. And he definitely has a different set of skills. And he definitely has different feelings about the situation. And that is completely okay. In the same way you don't want him to shut you down, to invalidate how you feel, to make you feel like you stupid for seeing it that way. Yeah, you don't have the right to make him feel that way either. So compromise. Marriage is a constant dance of compromise and negotiation. Compromise and negotiation. What is for the greater good of the marriage? How can we position this marriage to be a win-win situation where your partner doesn't always feel like they're the ones that's losing, that your way is the only way to get things done, or there's hell to pay? How can we get out of that mindset? How can we get out of that frame of thinking? Marriage is a win-win. We have to position our marriages to win, which means we have to position our partners to feel like they're winning as well. In the same way, you don't want to lose your position. In the same way, you don't want to be talked down to. In the same way, you want to be treated with respect and love and all of those things. That's the same thing you have to give out. And part of that insurance that you guys are positioning your marriage to win is that you have the mentality, how can we both win in this situation? And that mentality is going to require some compromise and some negotiation. So compromise is number one. Number two, you have to have a commitment to the vow. You have to be committed to the vow that you made. And you hear me say this on almost every broadcast every morning. You have to be committed to the vow in the same way you committed on your wedding day. In the same way you were committed on your wedding day when you were all giggly and wide-eyed and bushy-tailed and you couldn't wait to be a Mrs. and you went up there and you just sprouted out those words and didn't give much thought to it. You have to have a commitment to the vow. When it says for better or worse, some marriage is going to experience the worst. My first year of marriage, my first 6 weeks, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. I lost the hearing in my left ear. I lost the ability to use my entire left hand and arm for 3 months. I could barely walk. I'm only 28 years old. We're like, okay, is this like nursing home worthy? And then we had an unexpected death in the family. And then he got laid off from his job and I got laid off from my job. That's what worse is, people. For better or worse, because life is going to happen and life is going to knock you on your tail and it's going to pull the rug from underneath you and your sense of security is going to be shaken because that's how life works. Life is full of high highs and low lows. So when your marriage vow says that you're going to stick it out for better or for worse, that's what it means. That means that you can't leave because it's gotten difficult. You can't leave because it seems unfair, for better or worse. Now, of course, use wisdom. I'm not talking about being beat on, being a punching bag, being constantly cheated on. I'm not talking about that. But I'm talking about life happenings. Life happenings. A breakdown in communication, interference of in-laws, financial issue, job issues, career loss, health issues. That's what for better or for worse means. Stay committed to that vow. So a commitment to the vow is required if you want to have a successful marriage. So future wives, I want y'all to get an understanding of that now. Get an understanding of what you're saying you want to commit your life to before you decide to commit your life to it. Because once you're in it, it is heck to get out of it. Once you're in a marriage, it is heck to get out of it. I'm just saying. It comes with a whole lot of emotions and a whole lot of back and forth and a whole lot of confusion and indecisiveness. And you don't want to put yourself in that position unless you know exactly what you're signing up for. Don't be in such a rush to be a Mrs. that you don't use wisdom. If he's not a good boyfriend, he's not going to be a good husband. And don't think that you have the magic technique or skills to make him into a husband. Many women have tested that theory and have failed. And his last woman thought she could change him too. So don't think you have some magical skills that's going to make him into a good husband. If he's not a good boyfriend, he is not going to be a good husband. That doesn't mean that eventually he can't grow up and mature and become a good husband. But what you see in the dating phase and the boyfriend stage, oh, that's just going to continue in the marriage phase. And I know in your mind, you're like, okay, when we get married, he ain't going to do that anymore. Yes, it is. It's just going to be something y'all fight about. When we get married, he ain't going to hang out with that person. Yes, he is. It's just something y'all going to fight about. So don't overlook what you already see and turn a blind eye to it and walk down the aisle and then act like, oh my God, I didn't know it was going to be this rough. I'm telling you now, it's going to be that rough. So a commitment to the vow is absolutely 100% non-negotiable. That's your second C. Number 3, a consistent mood and consistent level of engagement. This half-hearted effort at making the marriage work pleasing your spouse, half-hearted effort of engaging your spouse in a positive interaction, that's not going to work in a marriage. Your mood is up and down and he just got to deal with it. You sat in traffic for too long, so you come home raising hell. You had a bad day at work, so you come home raising hell. Nobody want to deal with that. Nobody wants to deal with that. Your mood needs to be consistent, and it needs to be consistently positive towards your life partner. This is your life partner. He's not your enemy. Even though sometimes he may act like one, he's really not your enemy. He's just in a situation where he has certain habits, he has certain patterns and behaviors that he's had for years and years and years, and he hasn't matured from them. He hasn't been healed from them. He doesn't know how to negotiate and navigate them within the confines of a marriage relationship. He's trying to figure all that out, and he's going a lot slower than you want him to go, but he's really not your enemy. So if you can keep that in mind, how is your mood shifting the landscape of the relationship? Moodiness is such a turnoff. Moodiness and temper tantrums, we got to grow up. We got to walk the way that as women, as godly women, as mature women walk and talk and act the way mature and godly women conduct themselves. So your mood needs to be consistent. Do you need to go do some deep breathing exercises? Do you need to go for a walk? What do you need to do to get your mood back to a level place? I know me and my husband, we had a conversation early on in our marriage, and I was like, dude, when I get home from work, I need about a half hour to myself so I don't take out my frustrations of sitting in traffic for an hour and a half on you, because I'm in a real foul mood when I get home. Because traffic has been hell, my job has been hell, and I got hell in me. So give me about a half hour, 15 minutes to a half hour to just go in the room, take a shower, maybe lie down, whatever I need to do to get my spirit right so that I don't take it out on you. So then he knows, as soon as I get in the door, I'm going to greet him. And depending on how my day is, I may need a few minutes to get my spirit together. Do you need a few minutes to get your spirit together before you interact with your spouse? Then ask for that. Don't assume he should just know and give you your space and then lash out because he didn't. Have a conversation, which leads me to point number 4, effective communication skills. Communication skills are required. You can't talk to your spouse any and every kind of way and then complain because the marriage is not where you want it to be. People have to be respected. People have to feel wanted. People have to want to feel needed in their marriage if you want their marriage to last a lifetime. In the same way you want to feel wanted, valued, cherished, and needed, your husband needs the same things, ladies. And it doesn't matter that he's a big, macho, ego-driven man. He needs to feel wanted. He needs to feel needed. He needs to feel valued because he's a human being. You were created in the image of God, so was he. God wants to feel valued, does he not? God wants to feel needed, does he not? So if your husband was created in the image of God, why wouldn't you think that your husband wants to feel valued and needed and wanted by you? How are you communicating that to him? Does he know that, or is this the marriage's best kept secret? Are you walking around waving your flag like I really don't need you here? You're just an added bonus. You're an unnecessary accessory that I've decided to wear today. How are you communicating your true feelings for your husband? How are you interacting with him in a way that makes him feel valued, that makes him feel cherished, that makes him feel wanted and needed? You have to learn to communicate. And on the flip side of that, when you get your feelings hurt, that is not your license to go for the jugular. When he has a misstep, when he does something he's supposed to do, says something he's not supposed to say, or your feelings get hurt, or you feel some kind of way, that is not your license to go for the jugular. I used to go for the jugular because I had the mentality that I'm going to win this argument. I'm going to shut you down by any means necessary. And because I had that mentality and because I operated from that perspective, it affected my marriage for many, many years. And I continue to blame him for being a mess up instead of looking at myself and saying, okay, yeah, but my tongue, it ain't right. I knew my tongue and my mouth wasn't right, but I did it anyway. I said it anyway because I wanted to win. I wanted him to know that I was not the one to be played with verbally, that I would shut you down by any means necessary, going for the jugular, say what I want to say, how I want to say it, when I want to say it. And I don't care how you feel about it, because in this moment, I want to shut you down and I'm going to win. Yeah, that doesn't work in relationships. That doesn't work in marriage. So you have to have great communication skills. And number 5, you have to have great conflict resolution skills. How do we resolve conflict where it's a win-win? How do you do it? It's a constant dance of negotiation and compromise. Negotiation and compromise. You and your husband, y'all doing this dance. You give a little, he gives a little. You give a little, he gives a little. And how can we meet in the middle so that it is a win-win for the marriage? Because at the end of the day, the goal is to preserve the marriage. At the end of the day, the goal is to preserve the relationship, to move it forward. It is not to win. If your partner loses, you lose. That's why you have to shift your mentality from I'm going to win, I'm going to shut him down, to how can we both win in this situation where we're comfortable with moving forward. That's going to cause for some conflict resolution skills. And you may not have that innately. You may have come up in an environment where y'all cussed each other out and, whatever. That doesn't work in a marriage. So if you don't have the appropriate conflict resolution skills, maybe you need to go to counseling for a few sessions, 3 or 4 sessions, to learn how to have that conflict resolution skills, to learn how to have those communication skills so that your marriage can be set up for success and set up to win. So the 5 C's for effective communication: compromise is absolutely required. Everything cannot be on your terms. Number 2, you have to have a commitment to the vow that you made on your wedding day. And you don't get to walk away from that vow just because things have gotten rough. Number 3, you need to have a consistent mood and a consistent level of engagement. You don't get to check out. You don't get to have your moods fluctuating. You don't get a pass just because you're in a bad mood. You have to have a consistent positive interaction with your spouse, a consistent positive level of engagement with your spouse. Number 4, you have to have good communication skills. How are you talking to your spouse? How are you talking about your spouse? Are you going for the jugular when things are getting, out of hand in the relationship? Are you hurting his feelings? Are you shutting him down? There is no I win, he loses in a relationship. There is no I win, he loses in a argument. If he loses, you lose, because y'all are life partners and you're joined together in the sight of God. And number 5 is conflict resolution skills. How do you resolve conflict in a way that's going to move the marriage forward and keep you guys in a good space? So those are your 5 C's for a successful marriage and relationship. So we are getting ready, Wife Nation. And for those who want to join the nation, we're getting ready to go over here for our Monday marriage mantras in about 12 minutes. We are going to speak the word of God over our marriages, over our future marriages, over our husbands, over our future husbands, and over ourselves, because life and death are in the power of the tongue. So as a sisterhood, we're getting ready to come together and speak life. We invite you to join us, wives and future wives, every Monday for 10 minutes. 6:30 a.m. to 6:40 a.m. as we get together as a sisterhood. You still have time to join the nation, and you still have time to get the link inside of Wife Nation so you can join us in 10 minutes. I will see you all tomorrow morning. Make sure you share this broadcast, tag a friend, let people know that I'm over here dropping these marriage jewels on Monday through Wednesday at 6 a.m. Central Time. So I'm going to see y'all tomorrow. I'm getting ready for our Marriage Monday mantras. Y'all have a good one.